Chapter 17. Why the children decided they had to get rid of Mrs. Drizzle. Ooh. All right. Reason number 1. She was nice. I made cookies for everyone this morning, Mrs. Drizzle announced. Everyone cheered. Number 2. She thought up ways to make learning interesting. I made 5 dozen cookies, she said. There are 12 cookies in a dozen. So who can tell me how many cookies I made? Joe waved his arm back and forth. I know, he said. Okay, Joe, said Mrs. Drizzle. How many cookies did I make? 5 dozen, Joe said proudly. Number 3, she was patient. Yes, I have 5 dozen cookies, said Mrs. Drizzle. I told you that. But how many cookies are there? 5 dozen, said Joe. But how many cookies are there in 5 dozen? Asked Mrs. Drizzle. I bet you guys can solve that. 5 dozen cookies. How many cookies are there? Let's see. Asked Joe. How much is 12 times 5? Asked Mrs. Drizzle. Just a second, said Joe. Can I use a pencil and paper? Certainly, said Mrs. Drizzle. Joe took out a piece of paper and a pencil. He wrote the number 5 on the piece of paper, then tore it into 12 pieces. 60, he said. Nobody quite understood Joe's mathematical methods. Number 4, she was fair. Yes, there are 60 cookies, she said, and there are 28 children in class, so how many cookies should each child get? Bebe raised her hand. 100, she said. You can't have 100 cookies, said Mrs. Drizzle. I only made 60. Well, make some more, said Bebe. I made 60, said Mrs. Drizzle. I'm not making any more. Okay, Bebe said with a sigh. I'll take 60. We have to divide them evenly, said Mrs. Drizzle. How many cookies should each child get so that each child gets the same amount? She's using her magic words. Each. John raised his hand. Everyone can have 2 cookies, he said, and there will be 4 left over. Can I have them? Asked Bebe. Allison raised her hand. Everyone can have exactly 2 1/7 cookies, she said. Very good, Allison, said Mrs. Drizzle. And John, you were right too. She gave everyone exactly 2 1/7 cookies. Number 5, she was a good cook. Best cookies I ever had in my whole life, said Stephen. Everyone agreed. I got the recipe from Miss Mush, said Mrs. Drizzle. You did? Several kids said together. I just added a pinch of this and a little bit of that, said Mrs. Drizzle. She knew, number 6, she knew what a goosesack was. Jason, would you please open the door? She said. Everyone gasped. What's the matter? She asked. You said the D word, said Dana. Door? Asked Mrs. Drizzle. Everyone gasped again. You're supposed to call it a goosesack, explained Dana. Who said so? Asked Mrs. Drizzle. Mr. Kidswater, said Dana. Mr. Kidswater is a goosesack, said Mrs. Drizzle. Yes, Mrs. Drizzle was smart. She was nice. She made learning interesting. She was patient and fair, and she even could make Miss Mush's cookies taste good. But she made Louis shave off his mustache. So she had to go.